Today we're going to be making stewed chicken, which is a staple in my household. Sometimes when I just don't feel like cooking, it is the fallback dish that I make. I've been making it for over 20 years, and this is how I make it. I like to use red beans. You can leave them out or add them, that's up to you, but we're going to add them today. So you'll need red beans, onions, green peppers, tomatoes, carrots, celery, lots of seasonings. I use black pepper, salt, yes, I absolutely use cinnamon, paprika, my favorite, chicken oxo, cumin powder, thyme leaves, onion powder, cayenne pepper. If you like it, you can leave that out. I just put a little bit. Garlic powder. You will need some brown sugar and some oil to brown the chicken. And I always add some lemon juice or lime juice, and I like to add some ketchup as well towards the end. And of course you're going to need chicken, which I have already cleaned, washed, and rinsed. I'm not going to show you how I do that, but I will link a video to my friend LALITA PERSAUD's instructions below, as she posted one a few months ago to show people exactly how to clean their chicken. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started seasoning the chicken. And as per usual, you will notice that I'm not going to measure anything. I'm just going to pour seasonings on until I feel like that's about right. I'm going to start with some garlic powder. And I do use quite a bit of seasoning, but that's how we enjoy it. Onion powder. Cayenne pepper. I don't like things too spicy, so I'll just put a little bit, but you can put however much you want. Paprika. I'm using smoked paprika. Cinnamon, that's some cumin. Sorry, I'm trying to watch the bowl. I'm not really watching the camera in my hand. But I want to see how much stuff I'm putting in here. Thyme. Black pepper, a little bit more, and I'm throwing some salt, and I'm going to put a splash of lemon juice, which I of course forgot to open before I started rolling the camera again. Oh my god, I hope you're not getting dizzy watching this. I'm going to mix that all up, and then we're going to prepare the vegetables while this sits, and then we're going to start cooking. So while the chicken was sitting with the seasonings, I went ahead and prepared my vegetables. Sometimes I have more than this, sometimes less. It just depends how much you're making. It doesn't really matter. You'll notice I didn't use the chicken oxo or the ketchup yet. That comes later on. So my chicken's been sitting in the seasoning. I did put a little bit more water in with the chicken, just to sort of cover it up and make a bit of a marinade. And I've got some oil in the pan right now, which I believe is hot enough. I use a good big spoonful of the oil, and you can see it's nice and hot when it starts kind of leaving those streaks or those legs on the pot. So I'm going to go ahead and add the brown sugar, because this is how I was taught to brown my meat. It's all stuck all over my hands. But for the sake of videoing, I will deal with this later. So I put the sugar in until it starts getting nice and brown, and it doesn't take too long. If you leave it in there for too long or the temperature is too high, it's going to start to burn, and that's not what you want. So just keep a really close eye on it, and once it's ready, you're going to add the chicken. The chicken's going to have to be done in stages because I have quite a bit, so I'll show you when I get started, and then I'll show you once I finish all of the batches. So I like to keep lifting the pot and moving it around to avoid the sugar caramelizing or becoming kind of like a candy, which has happened to me before. And I just want it to get a little bit brown, which this is might not be quite enough, but it's good enough for me. I don't like risking it burning. Sometimes you'll notice the sugar sort of bubbles around the edges, which this is starting to do down here. you know, and that's fine. You just want to make sure that it doesn't burn, and then you go ahead and add your chicken in. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding the chicken. And I'm gonna let that brown on one side and then flip it to brown on the other side and then continue with the rest of the batches. So I'm almost done browning batch number 1. You can see I kind of lost track of this little piece. It's not too bad though. I'm trying to multitask and do some other stuff around my apartment today. So I flipped over the chicken anyways, and I'm just gonna get the other side nice and brown so it looks like this. And then I'm gonna take it out and put it in that separate bowl over there, and then we're gonna start the rest of the chicken. I think I might have to do this in about 3 stages, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what it should look like when it's browned. And this is nice and brown on all sides right now. It's really hard to do this with one hand. See, that's the color I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and take this out and put it into my other bowl. And then I'll put a new batch in here. There's still lots of oil and sugar in here. I'm probably just going to throw the next batch of chicken right on top of that and not bother adding more oil and sugar, and that should work out just fine. But if there wasn't a whole lot of oil or brown sugar still in here, or if I had burned it completely, then I would add fresh oil and sugar. So batch number 2 is in here, and you can see a lot of water is coming out of the chicken, so there's no risk of the sugar that was still in there really burning, which is good. So I just wanted to show you that that happens. I'm trying not to make this video too long, but it is definitely going to be one of my longer ones. It's not quite ready to be turned over yet, so we're going to let that go a little bit longer till it starts browning, and then flip it over, and then I will come back after I finish browning all of the chicken. So now that all my chicken's nice and brown, I'm going to carry on with the next step. I didn't drain the pot. I want all that flavor that the chicken cooked in. So I just added the rest of the chicken in here. And now I'm going to add the marinade that the chicken was marinating in. This is probably weird to some people because we're always told we should throw out the marinade and it's going to make you sick and you're going to get salmonella and whatever the case may be. This is how I've been cooking this for years. It's not like I've marinated the chicken overnight. I did clean my chicken before I seasoned it. But this is how I've always been making this, and no one's ever gotten food poisoning from anything I've ever cooked. So I'm just showing you how I do it. I'm going to add a bit more water and all of my vegetables into the pot. Let's start with the veggies. And this is a nice big pot, which is great because I need this. You can cook this in much smaller batches, but I cook for the week usually for my family. So I'm going to add some more water on top of this. All my veggies are in the pot now, and I poured some more water over top. You can see where it's sort of coming up to in here. The other thing is, as the vegetables are cooking down, they're going to release a lot of water, especially tomatoes. They're going to break apart completely and help form the sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on, and we're going to let this go for a while. And you can see it looks like there's a lot more water in the pot. That all came from the vegetables. I haven't added any more water in here. I haven't even really stirred it. You can see how the tomatoes are beginning to break down already. It actually smells really amazing in here right now. I'm going to stir this all, and then I'm going to put the lid back on, and we're going to let it go a little bit longer. Okay, so at this point, we're going to leave the lid off so that the water can evaporate. There's still lots in here, and I'm not trying to make a soup. I'm trying to make a stew. But I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken oxo. So because I'm making such a large batch, I'm going to use 2 of these packets. Make sure I get it all out of here. I really, really do like the flavor that it adds. And I'm also going to add the ketchup at this point. I don't know how much that is, maybe a quarter cup, half a cup, something along that lines. And I'm going to go ahead and give that a stir. Now, I know some people that use liquid browning to make the gravy a little bit darker. I used to do that, but I stopped doing that quite some time ago. I don't feel that it's really a necessary thing. It just changes the color. But I'm fine with how it looks without the browning. So, and honestly, it tastes amazing and doesn't need it again, in my opinion. So I'm going to leave the lid off, and we're going to let some of this liquid evaporate. And just before it's finished, I'm going to add the kidney beans. So I'm going to strain off the kidney beans right now and rinse them so that they're nice and clean when I'm ready to add them in here. And I like to add them probably in the last 10 minutes of cooking. If you add them too soon, they're just going to break down. So my stew is still cooking down. I'm actually really happy with the consistency where it is now. I could dry it down some more if I wanted to, but at this point, I've been cooking this for hours. This is not something that you can make in a quick half hour. So if you're going to make it, plan to be in your kitchen for a good portion of your day. I'm going to go ahead and add the red beans in now. As they cook, they will thicken the sauce a little bit more. So in about 10 minutes or so, I'm going to call this done, and then we should be ready to plate it. I'm just going to mix in the red beans. I used 2 cans. You can use 1. You can use 3. You can use all beans and no chicken if you want. You can use all chicken and no beans if you want. It's really up to you. But this is how I like to make it, and this is how we like to eat it in my family. I'm going to set my timer, let that go for another 10 minutes, and then check on it. It's been about 10 minutes now, so I shut off the timer and I shut off the burner, and this is ready to go. I could probably cook it for another 5 or 10 minutes if I wanted to, but at this point, I think everybody's getting hungry. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plate this up, and we're going to have dinner. And I hope you enjoyed learning how to make my stewed chicken.